Hey guys, Rochelle here with Amethyst Ascension. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I'm going to be continuing on the astrology, learn how to read your birth chart astrology series. We're going to be going on to episode 2, and we're going to be talking about the constellations, the zodiac signs. Now, I have touched on this, the difference between what makes a constellation a zodiac sign is that it sits upon the ecliptic line. The ecliptic line is an imaginary line or pathway that our sun, moon, and all of our planets travel within from our vantage point on Earth, okay? But before I begin talking about the different constellations, because I study and work with true Sidereal astrology. I started off with Western astrology, learned about that. As I was learning about that, I was creating this course because I was learning about it when I had my memberships a few years ago on my channel. And so I did that and created worksheets and all that. That's what is compiled in this digital companion that I do also sell. But then I learned about Vedic astrology, just scratching the surface. I don't know deep about Vedic astrology, especially because all of the moon mansions and stuff, right? Which are very, very cool. So I also learned at the same time about, or shortly after learning about Vedic astrology, about real sky astrology. And that is very, very close to what I practice, but not quite. And I want to touch on this particular part of it because it pertains to the actual constellations and the borderlines. So, traditionally in Western and Vedic astrology, there are 12 zodiac signs, right? These are the different. So in Aries, the sun is in Aries in Western astrology between March 21st and April 20th. In Vedic, it's April 14th to May 15th. Real sky, it's April 21st to May 12th. However, in true Sidereal, it's a little bit different from all of those as well, because I use midpoint calculations for my boundaries, I should say, in between the constellations. What I mean by that is these all use IAU boundaries. That is the International Astronomers Union or Astronomical Union. So essentially what that means is they have taken the whole outline of the actual zodiac sign or constellation, and that is the borders that they are using. However, in astrology itself, each one of the areas or what depicts whether or not a constellation is an astrology zodiac sign is where it sits on the ecliptic, if it falls within the ecliptic, because the sun and moon and planets travel through that area. The midpoint calculations take into account where the actual astrological zodiac sign is or constellation. So let's say, for instance, we have Capricorn here and we have Sagittarius over here, okay? So what they'll do is take the closest stars on that ecliptic line and the closest stars that are in Sagittarius, and then they'll take the closest stars over here that are in Capricorn, and they find the midpoint, okay, where it sits on the ecliptic. So that is what is dictating the size of the constellations for astrology, not astronomy. That's why I don't really say too much of a difference between real sky and true sidereal astrology, because it's a matter of opinion on what makes more sense to you. The fact that I am using astrology, not astronomy, but astrology, and I just want it to match up with the astronomy. So that's why I use midpoint. It seems the most accurate for astrological readings because that is based on around the ecliptic line, which is what makes the difference between a regular constellation and a zodiac constellation, because there's other constellations out there that we know of, like Orion, like Vega and the Pleiades. I don't even know if those are considered constellations. I've got a box of the different stars, the constellations here. I'll show you what I mean, kind of. Of course, Ophiuchus is on top, right? Oops, sorry. So what's this one? Triangula. And this one is Camelopardalis. There's Pisces. There's Auriga. Or Scorpio. Or, yeah, Scorpio. Is that Pegasus? Yeah, Pegasus. And the reason why these are not, like this one, Cepheus, is not part of the zodiac and astrology, the system of astrology, is simply because these constellations do not fall upon the ecliptic line. From our vantage point on Earth, we do not see the sun and the moon and the planets and or asteroids traveling through the other constellations that are not considered part of our zodiac. Okay, so that's the difference. So we know of like the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. The reason why Virgo is the largest constellation in astrology is because many of the other ones, you might have the ecliptic line, let's say, that runs through here. So it might run through the tail of one of them. It might run through like the bottom half of one. It might, if the ecliptic line was like this, it might run through like that. So it's shorter. But with Virgo, the ecliptic line runs right down through the length of Virgo. That's why she's so big on the ecliptic. That's why there are so many people that are truly Virgos, because, and why the sun is in the constellation of Virgos for so long, is because of the way that the constellation itself sits on the ecliptic line, which determines whether or not something is a zodiac sign or whether or not it is a constellation. So now that we have cleared that up, I wanted to talk about the different constellations. Okay, now this, like I said, this is something that I created several years ago, and it was part of my memberships. When I closed down the memberships, because I was just doing entirely too much work, I wasn't charging enough for all of the work and involvement I was putting into it. So, and I think it was before people were really ready for memberships. So I prefer to just do it this way, okay? But anyways, so let me show you a chart right quick. Let me go into the Discord. Where is it? Astrology and Moon. Okay, so today is the 29th at the time that I am recording this. All right. So, in Western astrology, they have where they believe that all of, or they're using it as a system where all 12, not 13, but 12 zodiac signs are 30 degrees each, because it is a system. It's not based on what is actually in the sky. True sidereal is based upon what is truly in the sky. So you will see we have Aries here. Or, yes, it looks a little bit different, but essentially this is Aries. Here's Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Ophiuchus. You can see how small these are, right? It's because of how they sit on the ecliptic. This is the part that the sun and the moon of that particular constellation or zodiac sign, where it goes through, where they travel through for the astrological system. And then we've got Sagittarius over here, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So, and these are our houses here. So this is what, as of noon today, what our sky looks like. So you'll hear a lot of people in Western astrology saying that our Pluto has just moved into Aquarius after so many years, right? In Western astrology, because it is a system, it's not based on what's truly in the sky, and a lot of people do not know that. But let's find Pluto. Pluto's right here. Pluto is actually right on the verge of Sagittarius still, because it had just come out of a retrograde. So it appears to go backwards, because it was earlier in the year in Capricorn. Okay, it entered into Capricorn, not Aquarius. And then it went retrograde, and it went back into Sagittarius for a little bit, and now it's getting ready. By the end, before the end of the year is over, it will go back into Capricorn, and it's going to remain in Capricorn for quite a few years, because Pluto is the furthest out, so its rotation is much longer. So if we look, Pluto, oops, is every 12 to 31 years in a sign. This was based off of Western astrology, and that is considering it at 30 degrees each sign. But each astrological zodiac sign is different in true sidereal. Okay, but just to give you an idea, it goes every 12 to 31 years in a sign, depending on like how quickly it's moving, and because it's so far out. So to get a full rotation to go through all 12 of the zodiac signs, it takes roughly 248 years. So that's why it is very much a generational planet. So Neptune is about every 14 years in a sign. Like I said, though, that is based on, it's going to be, so like when you're looking back at this chart here, you see Capricorn. Where's Capricorn? Capricorn is roughly 25 degrees in size. Okay. Whereas like Scorpio is 13 degrees in size, and Ophiuchus is 12 degrees in size. Keep in mind, I do that based off of midpoint calculations. I don't use IAU boundaries. I know this can be really confusing. I know it's a whole lot to take in, but this is why I'm trying to show you the difference between when I say the moon is here or the planets are here. This is truly based on where they are on the ecliptic, which is what astrology is supposed to be based on to begin with. And the reason why they left out the 13th sign, that somebody would consider the 13th sign, or like the, what sign would it be? Oops. Let's see. If this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, it would actually be like the ninth. Ophiuchus would be the ninth. But another funny thing, why they would leave it out of the zodiac signs is very interesting, because not only do all the sun, the moon, and all the planets and asteroids appear to travel through it, through that constellation, but 12 degrees in this constellation is where the center of our galaxy is. And there is another galaxy within that center, right by that center, which is called the Sagittarius or something like that, galaxy, where they believe that our sun was actually birthed from. So that was our place of origin, actually, right? For those that worship the sun like it is God, which, anyways, that's a different topic. But so why would that be hidden? Why would that not be considered? Why were there 12? Why were they all evenly 30 degrees when they're not actually that size? Because it was a system that was created. It was not based on astronomy. But our earliest civilizations, they were stargazers. They didn't break it down into, like, okay, we're going into this, we're going into that. They actually just followed the signs in the skies, right? So anyways, let's get on to our first one, which is Aries. So Aries, this is what we know about Aries. This is what the sign looks like on an astrological chart, which we will go back to that in a minute. But Aries is ruled by Mars, so Mars is its ruling planet, and it corresponds to the first house in astrology. What that means is that when they separated the sky into 12 different categories, each category was based off of what would kind of like be important to each one of its counterparts. So the one that was based off of Aries has to do with like what would be important to an Aries, which is, think of these correspondences and or characteristics of an Aries. So they are, it has to do with like our persona. And anyways, I've already kind of touched on that, but these are the characteristics of an Aries. I'm sorry, this is kind of all over the place, but Aries is considered a cardinal, which I have done a video on that as well, because depending on cardinal, fixed, and mutable are all based on the seasons, right? Cardinal is the beginning of a season. If the sun is in a constellation during the beginning of a season, that is considered a cardinal sign. If it is during the middle of a season, and each season runs approximately 90 days, okay? And that's from, anyways, I don't want this to be confusing, but fixed is in the middle of that season and mutables towards the end of that season. And there are different, I'll touch on that in a different video. So Aries, this is what the symbol looks like, okay, on a chart. These are the characteristics. They are known for being initiators, starters, pioneers, inspiring, being spontaneous, childlike, direct, innocent, energetic, eager, confident, forceful, assertive, headstrong, enthusiastic, active, independent, courageous, fearless, and competitive. They can also be aggressive, rash, careless, bad-tempered, foolhardy, impatient, argumentative, and self-centered. So, on the chart, well, let me just show you this right quick. So Aries is roughly 20 degrees in size, not 30 degrees in size. So the sun is roughly in Aries, or in between it, because there's another zodiac sign there. But I've not even gotten into that area, so we're not even going to talk about that. We're going to just say it's in Aries for roughly 22 days, okay? And in true sidereal, these are the actual days that the sun, using the midpoint calculations that I talked about, this is the dates that Aries, the sun is in Aries, okay? And using the chart, if you're looking for Aries, right here is Aries. Right here, 20 degrees. Then we move on to Taurus, which is much larger. Here is Taurus. This is what the symbol looks like. It's a little bit different, but essentially you get the point. It's like a bull with horns, right? The bull, just like Aries was the ram. So, Taurus is ruled by Venus and corresponds to the second house. This is what the constellation of Aries looks like in the sky. This is what Taurus looks like. They are known for being earthy, practical, productive, prudent, conserving, sensual, physical, resourceful, steadfast, stable, reliable, dependable, loyal, trustworthy, preserving, patient, deliberate, persistent, enduring, artistic, loves nature's beauty. They can also be materialistic, possessive, stubborn, lazy, overcautious, passive, self-indulgent, and bullheaded. Now, I want you to keep something in mind, too. When we're talking about astrology, one of the other things that I hate when I see it is like little memes saying, if you're this, like if you're a Taurus, blah, 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 you're stubborn or blah. Listen, that is just one area. If your sun sign is only one little area, there are so many different aspects to a chart that make up the whole. It doesn't mean that that's what you are or who you are. It could be a possible characteristic. And if you do see like somebody that is extremely stubborn, it could be because they feel like they're right about a certain situation. It doesn't mean that they're certainly stubborn about everything. You see what I'm saying? That's just an aspect. It doesn't mean that that's who they are. So I hate it when we self-identify in these areas. But moving on. Gemini. So this is what the constellation looks like in the sky. Gemini is the twins. It's an air sign. Taurus is an earth sign. Aries is a fire sign. That's another thing. When you go around the wheel, it goes fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, because it is a system. Astrology is a system, okay? So they have taken and put different characteristics with those particular constellations because they're making it into a system. It has nothing to do with astronomy, okay? But Gemini is ruled by Mercury and corresponds to the third house. They are known for being intelligent, mental, bright, alert, witty, curious, inquisitive, learns easily. They're knowledgeable, studious, verbal, sociable, talkative, linking, articulate, communicative, clever, dual versatile, lighthearted, changeable, flexible, and studious. They are also known to be wordy, gossipy, nosy, spacey, shallow, unemotional, impatient, high-strung, and scattered. So, again, these are all possibilities of what somebody's characteristics that they can be, embracing at any given time. But that doesn't really, I don't fall for this self-identifying in. I see it as embracing a certain energy, but not that that's who we are. We determine who we are. But anyways, that's what the sign looks like on the chart. Okay. And that is, so Taurus is 36 degrees in size, so larger than what normally you see in Western astrology, 30 degrees, right? So the sun is approximately in Taurus for 38 days every year. And so even an age is based on how long, and there's different rules of thumb what other people consider an age. But for me, I think what I consider an age to be is when on the spring equinox, what sign the sun is in. Okay? And so in Aries every year. For 1,584 years, the sun was in Aries on the equinox, the spring equinox. Taurus, an age would be 2,736 years. Gemini, 1944. You see what I mean? Because it all depends upon the size of the constellation. This is why true sidereal is much closer to true astronomy. So an age is not really 2,156 years like most 30-degree sizes would tell you in Western astrology. That's just not accurate. So Gemini is roughly 27 days that the sun is in. Okay? And these are the dates, the actual true sidereal dates. So Cancer, this is what Cancer looks like in the sky, and it is a water sign. It is the crab. It's the crab constellation. This is what the symbol looks like on an astrological chart. Feelings, receptive, psychic. So Cancer is ruled by the moon and corresponds to the 4th house. They are known to be emotional, feeling, receptive, sensitive, gentle, psychic, vulnerable, sympathetic, nurturing, caring, shy, feeding, protective, domestic, patriotic, retiring, tenacious, past-oriented, and retentive. Also known for being moody, insecure, defensive, over-emotional, smothering, clinging, dependent, timid, touching, brooding, withdrawn, stuck in the past, and afraid to let go. Do you understand that this was based off of, and it's a feminine sign, it's based off of what was thought of as the ruler of it also, which is the moon, right? So these are characteristics that were put onto this particular constellation in the sky by people, creating a system. And to keep in mind, astrology, just like tarot, just like anything else, whether it's human design, whether it's numerology, whatever it is, it's a system. That's all it is a system. Either you can choose to use it or you don't use it. Okay? So we get into Leo, which is a fire sign. This is what the constellation looks like in the sky. It is masculine. It is a fixed sign, so it would be the middle of the season, according to Western astrology. Leo is ruled by the sun and corresponds to the 5th house. They are known for being self-assured, dynamic, powerful, confident, radiant, commanding, impressive, majestic, dignified, regal, royal, honorable, proud, thrives on appreciation, a leader, courageous, loyal, creative, self-expressive, dramatic, generous, playful, romantic, and loving. They are also known to be prideful, self-centered, vain, selfish, arrogant, overbearing, snobbish, arrogant, and egocentric. There are shadows and there are light to every single characteristics that there is, okay? That just pretty much goes hand in hand. So this is what the sign looks like, the symbol for Leo. It is the lion, and it is radiant, proud, creative. Now Leo is also, these are the dates, true sidereal, August 7th to September 14th. Leo is 38 degrees in size, so it's significantly larger than your 30 degrees normally, right? So the sun travels in it approximately 38 days every year. All right. Now we move on to Virgo. So Virgo is considered an earth sign. That's what it looks like. The constellation. It's a mutable sign because it's considered the end of a season. Virgo is ruled by Mercury and corresponds to the 6th house. They are known to be practical, efficient, clear, analytical, dividing, precise, detailed, exacting, discerning, technical, meticulous, dexterous, humble, health conscious, conscientious, unselfish, sanitary, helpful, serving, utilitarian, disciplined, skillful, economical, organized, and dutiful. Also known to be petty, picky, trivial, skeptical, nitpicky, fault-finding, judgmental, lacking confidence, workaholic, and worrisome. And this is what the symbol looks like. It's very close to a Scorpio, except for Scorpio's got like the little tail. Excuse me. And it's considered the maiden, serving, organized, skillful. These cards were just as little like keywords to remind you what that particular sign would mean. But that's what it would look like on the chart. And Virgo is the largest constellation because I explained how it actually sits on the ecliptic. And the ecliptic, because it's sideways, the sun, moon, and everything appears, all the planets appear to be going through the whole length of the maiden, Virgo. 49 degrees in size. So the sun is roughly in Virgo for 50 days every year. So an actual age would be roughly 3,600 years. And this is the dates. September 15th to November 3rd. The sun is truly in Virgo. So now we go back to, come on, the next one, which is Libra. This is what it looks like the Alpha Omega. It's the scales, artistic, impartial, beautiful. So that's what it looks like in the sky, the constellation. Libra is ruled by Venus, and it's also considered cardinal. So it is a beginning of a season. Libra is ruled by Venus and corresponds to the 7th house. They are known for being sharing, cooperative, social, partner-oriented, fair, just, considerate, balanced, charming, meditating, or mediating, impartial, artistic, aesthetic, refined, beautiful, harmonious, pleasing, well-proportioned, and tasteful. They are also known to be dependent, cannot act alone, indecisive, hesitant, passive, inactive, idle, indifferent, vain, gives power away to others. They're superficial, overly delicate, and imbalanced. Like I said, there's a light and a dark. That does not mean because you're a Libra that you are any of these things. They're just possibilities, possible energies. And depending how else other things play out in your chart and how you are as a person in general, right? These are all just a system. So when it comes to systems, I use them to my benefit, not to my detriment. I do not become self-identified in these systems. I just use the energies like you would use green as in a spell for correspondences. See what I'm saying? So then we move on to Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign. This is what it looks like. Constellation. This is what the symbol looks like. It kind of looks like the Virgo, except this just has a little tail, like a devil's tail. Or a scorpion tail. Magnetic, intense, mysterious. So, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and corresponds to the 8th house. Traditionally, Scorpio was also ruled by Mars. They are known to be mysterious, magnetic, powerful, emotional, intense, regenerating, transforming, cathartic, giving birth, healing, renewing, musical, complex, transformative. They're into the occult. hidden things, deep and psychological things. Also known to be power hungry, destructive, violent, sarcastic, death-oriented, obsessive, excessive, secretive, paranoid, deceptive, distrustful, lustful, jealous, revengeful, and cruel. Do you see why with all these different characteristics, it is so good to use these energies to your benefit instead of becoming self-identified in them and using them to your detriment? And Scorpio is 13 degrees in size, so the sun is approximately 14 days within that constellation, and an age is roughly 1,008 years. That would be from November 23rd to December 6th for Scorpios. Now we go on to Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is not in here. Did I ever put, hang on. Did I ever put extra? I don't remember. I don't think I did. So when I think of Ophiuchus, Ophiuchus is in between Scorpio and Sagittarius in the sky. Okay? This is what the symbol looks like. It's like a U with a line going through it. It is considered the serpent bearer, wisdom, awakening, healer. So for me, I think the jury is still out, honestly, because astrology is based on like symbolism, right? It's like witchcraft. If something that you're using, and it's not just witchcraft either. It's like the law of attraction. It's like feng shui. It's like the kind of power that we put into something, the symbolism, right? Astrology is no different. So like when they discovered Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the reason that they got the associations that they did is they looked at the year that it was discovered, and then they looked around to see what was going on in the world. And so that's how they got their correspondences. So I could not tell you where they came from before that, because astrology is very old, right? I don't know if we know. I don't know if we have that information. We might have some of that information, like at, what's that one site? Anyways, I'm getting way off track. So I think of Ophiuchus as like a combination of feminine and masculine. This is me personally. Feminine and masculine characteristics. I see it as wisdom. I see it as hidden stuff also. And they share, like Scorpio and Ophiuchus share the same area of the sky. So they share the same house, which is the 8th house. So it is like a transformation. And there's some that say, and I probably tend to agree with this also, that Ophiuchus is ruled by Chiron. Chiron being the wounded healer, the what do you call him? Half man, the centaur. He was a centaur. And he was shot with an arrow. And he was constantly in pain. So in order to alleviate his pain, but he was also immortal, they put him up into the sky. I think that's the story. But anyways, so Ophiuchus also is very much, in my opinion, associated with Asclepius, who was a healer, Thoth, the Atlantean, who was a healer and an engineer, and Hermes, Mercury. So I think that there's a lot of occult healing, cosmic wisdom, center of our galaxy. There's a lot going on with Ophiuchus. So I think there's still a lot to learn about as we start to recognize more people. That my daughter is Ophiuchus, was born with her son in Ophiuchus. I do have some placements in Ophiuchus. But anyways, now moving on to Sagittarius. So this is what Sagittarius looks like. Oh, and by the way, oops. What am I doing? Here we go. Ophiuchus is 12 degrees in size, and the sun is roughly in Ophiuchus for 12 days. And a age of Ophiuchus would be roughly 864 years. So now we're going on to Sagittarius. Sagittarius is roughly 32 degrees in size. So the sun travels in Ophiuchus every year, Sagittarius roughly every 32 days. And an age is roughly 2,304 years. And this is Ophiuchus, the dates that the sun is in Ophiuchus roughly every year. That does change very slowly, but it does change. Eventually we evolve, right? And then Sagittarius, these are the dates. And I am a Sagittarius sun because my birthday falls within there. But I'm a cusper. All right. So, come on. So let's talk about Sagittarius. This is what Sagittarius looks like, the constellation. It's a fire sign, mutable, masculine energy because fire is masculine. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter and corresponds to the 9th house. They are known to be wise, sage-like, understanding, aspiring, metaphysical, ethical, visionary, religious, truth-seeking, hopeful, open-minded, jovial, expansive, generous, benevolent, merciful, exploring, adventurous, seeking, freedom-loving, frank, and truthful. They are also pompous, flighty, ungrounded, opinionated, tactless, false prophet, extravagant, wanderlust, scattered, and irresponsible. Alrighty then. All right, so, and it looks like an arrow because Sagittarius is the centaur, right? And so sage-like, truth-like, visionary. All right, so the next one, Capricorn. Earth sign. That's what it looks like. It's the goat, but it's like the fish goat. It's got a fish tail, right? And in other, like in Vedic, it's also an alligator. And there was something else, I think. Anyways, so it is considered a cardinal sign. Feminine. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn and corresponds to the 10th house. They are known to be organized, practical, responsible, dutiful, disciplined, conscientious, structured, hardworking, systematic, mature, law-abiding, dependable, industrious, pragmatic, realistic, planning, patient, orderly, deliberate, methodical, efficient, frugal, successful, and ambitious. Also controlling, guarded, obsessed with order, restricted, pessimistic, guilty, self-seeking, and calculating. So, this is what the symbol looks like. It's the goatfish, practical, structured, efficient. Remember, ruled by Saturn. Traditionally, Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. So the next one, Capricorn is 25 degrees in size, and 25 days the sun approximately runs through Capricorn, and an age is roughly 1,800 years. And these are the actual dates based on true sidereal astrology, January 20th to February 13th. You are a Capricorn. So, now Aquarius. Aquarius is masculine, air sign. That's what it looks like. That's what the symbol looks like on an astrological chart. They're called the water bearer, futuristic, humanitarian, and eccentric. Aquarians are ruled by Uranus, like I said, traditionally Saturn, and corresponds to the 11th house. Known for reforming, progressive, liberal, humanitarian, friendly, democratic, universal, philanthropic, altruistic, tolerant, social, people-oriented, independent, freedom-loving, original, bohemian, eccentric, experimental, innovative, futuristic, intuitive, and quick. Also known to be disorganized, undisciplined, fanatical, deviant, opinionated, unreasonable, antisocial, erratic, aloof, and detached. So, the next one is, and Aquarius is 23 degrees in size, 24 days it's in the sun, or the sun travels through the sign of Aquarius, and an age is roughly 1,728 days. So, the actual dates starts on, like right now, February 14th, so on Valentine's Day is when Aquarius actually starts, through March 9th. So, Pisces, this is what the symbol looks like for Pisces. It is considered the fish. Spiritual, dreamy, intuitive. This is what the constellation looks like up in the sky. Pisces is ruled, and it's mutable, so it's the end of a season. Pisces is ruled by Neptune and corresponds to the 12th house, known to be unifying, boundless, subtle, infinite, flowing, refined, imaginative, dreamy, poetic, emotional, inspiring, idealistic, utopian, visionary, romantic, mystical, intuitive, spiritual, otherworldly, ethereal, impressionable, mediumistic, receptive, empathic, healing, gentle, compassionate, unselfish, and humble. Also known to be confused, unrealistic, gullible, vulnerable, chaotic, and delusional. I believe that the Pisces are the most psychic, in my opinion. But that's here nor there. It's a personal thing, right? So, that was, and so Pisces is March 10th to April 20th. Oops. Pisces is roughly 41 degrees in size, so it's a large constellation. So the sun travels through the sign of, or the constellation of Pisces, about 42 days a year. And an age is roughly 3,024 years. So I am sorry if this is at all confusing. If you have any questions, maybe I'll do a whole video by itself just talking about the different, if you need more clarification, because I know it's a lot of information to take in, especially when you're dealing with different systems and different understanding the ecliptic line, understanding the boundaries, what constitutes the boundaries, what is the right system in order to use for calculating how big a constellation is, all those things. I know it can be confusing. If you would like a separate video just on the difference between IAU boundaries, you know, constellation boundaries, and midpoint constellation boundaries, let me know. I'll try to do a better job and just leave the video just to that to help you understand. But true sidereal, which is what I practice, is pretty much based on what is actually in the sky. Not necessarily a system. It's still using the system of astrology, but it's also using what is currently in the sky. It's reflecting what's currently in the sky and then using the system with it of astrology. So I hope that helps understand a little bit better. So if you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. And this deck that I am using, I showed before, is my the 13 sign astrology deck. This is available on Make Playing Cards. It has a total of 80 some cards. I mean, pretty much showing every part of learning the chart that you would need. So I'll put a link down below to that as well. So thank you for spending this time with me, and I'm sending you love always.